It's Monday, the 20th of April from the MEN newsroom. This is Channel M's Lunchtime News, and these are today's headlines. Millimetres from death, the Bolton soldier described as the luckiest man in the British Army.
I was engaged from the target to my left, which hit me in the helmet. I landed on my back. I opened my eyes and looked to my left at Private Withers and said, "Have I just been shot?" In which he sort of swore a lot and said, "Yeah, you have."
Also this lunchtime, a warning to others. Posters showing members of Manchester's notorious Gooch gang caged and aged. And a Manchester celebration for St George.
Well, I think it's nice. It's not only because you're English, it's just a nice day out for everyone.
Good afternoon. First, this lunchtime, a territorial army soldier from Bolton who's serving in Afghanistan is being described as the luckiest man in the British Army today after a Taliban bullet missed his head by millimetres.
This helmet belongs to soldier Leon Wilson. A bullet went in here and came out here. At the time, Leon was wearing the helmet. No wonder fellow squaddies reckon he is the luckiest man in the army.
I opened my eyes and looked to my left at Private Withers and said, "Have I just been shot?" In which he sort of swore a lot and said, "Yeah, you have." Medic turned a bit grey and I shouted to Corporal to say that I've just been shot in the head.
The miracle escape happened earlier this month in the Helmand province of Afghanistan, when Dad of 3, Private Leon Wilson, was locked in a gun battle with the Taliban.
I was shot from my left-hand side, where the round went in there. It travelled round the front of my helmet and came out there.
The impact of the bullet knocked him flat on his back, and he was helped away from the rooftop machine gun point by amazed medics.
And then my sergeant major and my boss got me down off the roof, told me I couldn't do anything else with my helmet, sat me down.
But within an hour, the 32-year-old private had found another helmet and went back into battle.
Shut me up, but there's not much else we can do but get on with the job that we're out here to do.
Kevin Duffy for Channel M News.
Thank you, Kevin. Now, are we in for tax rises, spending cuts, both or neither? Well, later this week, we'll find out what's in one of the most important budgets of recent times. The Chancellor, Alistair Darling, has released a video online describing his preparations ahead of the speech on Wednesday.
I want to make sure that we do two things. One is to help people now through this difficult time, but equally importantly, we've got to prepare for the future, to invest in Britain's future, to ensure that we can take advantage of the upturn, the recovery when it comes, and it will come. I'm confident about that because I think we have underlying strengths that we can play to, and I want to build on those so there are jobs and good prospects for the future.
So what exactly can we expect? Well, it's being reported that the Chancellor will announce an extra £500 million of investment in green initiatives. That's on top of £500 million already announced to help shore up low-carbon industries. According to The Times, Mr Darling will announce £15 billion in cuts by making government departments more efficient. And don't forget, there'll be a Channel M News special on Wednesday, bringing you details and analysis of the budget as it's announced. Now, if you're a regular viewer, you might remember that 11 gang members from Manchester were jailed for a total of 200 years nearly 2 weeks ago. Now the police have taken pictures of the two ringleaders and using computer technology, they've aged them 35 years to show what they'll look like when their sentences end. Georgia Calvin-Smith's got more on this.
By the time Colin Joyce and Lee Amos have served their respective 39 and 35-year minimum sentences for the murder of Ukal Chin and Tyrone Gilbert, they'll be old and frail upon their release. By speaking out against the criminals in their midst, the 6 key witnesses in the case helped bring these violent men and 9 other Gooch gang members to justice. The mob's lawless grip on Manchester streets has been loosened, and with the unveiling of this new poster showing the haggard changes Joyce and Amos are likely to undergo during their time behind bars, Greater Manchester Police want to say thank you to those brave enough to come forward with information and encourage more people in Manchester to speak up against those who terrorise their communities. Since the arrest of the 11 thugs involved in the case, shootings in Greater Manchester have fallen by 92%, and there's not been a single gang-related murder in 14 months. The city's streets are safer, and with this public sign of appreciation, Greater Manchester Police is hoping that ordinary citizens will realise the importance of the part they played in this triumph. Georgia Calvin-Smith, Channel M News.
More Greater Manchester news now, and a postman was dragged along the road as he tried to stop a thief from stealing his delivery van. The thief got into the vehicle while the victim was making a delivery. The postman then grabbed hold of the door handle and was dragged along Milnrow Road in Rochdale. He's now in hospital with head injuries. The van was found abandoned nearby. A dog walker was beaten up by 3 men after he asked them to stop teasing his pet. It happened in Heaton Park when a group of men began antagonising the animal. The owner was punched in the head, and when he fell to the floor, 2 other men kicked him in the head, while a couple of others standing nearby cheered them on. The attackers, all in their late teens or early 20s, eventually walked off towards Heaton Park metro station. The victim was taken to hospital with bad bruising. A young mum from Hume is trying to lower the age for cancer screening from 25 to 18. Charlotte Hughes has undergone 2 major operations and, to put forward her case, decided to make a song and dance about it.
1,000 people have turned out to sing their voice against cervical cancer, to make cervical cancer aware and get the government to reduce the age for cervical smears from 25 to 18. It's very important to reduce the age because I got diagnosed at 20 with cervical cancer. If I could have had a smear at an earlier age, then it would have picked it up at an earlier stage. I hope that cervical cancer can be aware out there and that the government can reduce the age for cervical smears.
OK, folks, a big noise, please!
A 75-year-old biker from Cheadle Hulme was killed in a crash near Macclesfield yesterday. He was riding along Bonus Hall Lane near Prestbury when he was involved in a collision with a silver Nissan. The driver of the car wasn't hurt. And a man died after a car careered off a motorway and crashed into a tree. The Ford Focus ended up on its roof after hitting a Mini Cooper on the anti-clockwise carriageway of the M60 near Junction 5. That's where it meets the Princess Parkway in South Manchester. The passenger, believed to be in his 20s, was killed and 2 women in the car were taken to hospital. The driver suffered a suspected broken shoulder and the other passenger a suspected broken leg. The driver was arrested on suspicion of driving with excess alcohol. Secret files on the Hillsborough disaster could be made public 10 years early after a request from the Home Secretary. Jackie Smith has asked South Yorkshire Police to release the documents that contain evidence from the police, local council and ambulance service. Documents like these aren't usually made public for 30 years, but the Home Secretary has intervened 2 decades after the tragedy. Right, with today's sports headlines, here's Mike Bradley.
Thank you, Ben. And Manchester United are out of this season's FA Cup, having lost 4-2 on penalties after extra time in yesterday's semi-final against Everton at Wembley. A largely second-string United side were foiled in a penalty shootout by former keeper Tim Howard. He saved shots from Dimitar Berbatov and Rio Ferdinand before Phil Jagielka, who many people believe ought to have been red-carded for an early foul on Denny Welbeck, scored the all-important spot kick, sending Everton through to next month's final against Chelsea. However, there were plenty of praise for the way the United youngsters acquitted themselves during the game, and when Channel M's Andy Dickman caught up with former United defender Arthur Alverston, he too added his words of praise.
Were Everton boosted slightly, do you think, by the team sheet they saw just before kick-off?
They might have been, but certainly when they got out there, Andy, I'm sure they would have been possibly shocked by the way that United played. They played very well, the young lads, as I mentioned. Welbeck very unlucky not to get a penalty. He's not going to take a dive there. He's went round the goalkeeper and he's going to roll it in an empty net. So, yeah, Everton might have got a little bit of a boost from that, but they certainly found out they were in a game as soon as the game started. And staying with United news just in, the Office of Fair Trading have told the club they are allowed to continue with their controversial compulsory ticket scheme, but must guarantee all season ticket holders entry to cup matches in future. Previously, supporters had been forced to buy tickets for cup matches, whether they wanted them for that individual game or not, in order to guarantee them a ticket for a future cup fixture.
Elsewhere, City saw off a spirited West Brom at Eastlands yesterday, winning 4-2. But Oldham lost 3-1 at Brighton, leaving Joe Royle still searching for his first win. Stockport County's miserable run continues after they went down 1-0 against Peterborough. That means Jim Gannon's men are now without a win in their past 12 games. A little further down the football pyramid in the Unibond League First Division North, Curzon Ashton entertained Garforth Town to see if they could keep their hopes of promotion alive.
The pitch here at the Tameside Stadium. Some work will be done on it in the summer. Drainage work. Really were hammering the sprinklers on it before kick-off. Here's Russell, opens up for him. Russell goes for it! What a goal! He's crying out to be struck. And didn't he strike it well?
And that win keeps Curzon in a playoff place ahead of tonight's home game against mid-table Clitheroe. In yesterday's Friends Provident Trophy game at Old Trafford, Lancashire beat Glamorgan by 80 runs. Tom Smith and Francois Duplessis both scoring 66, while Wigan Warriors recorded their first win in 3 games by beating Super League's basement side, the Celtic Crusaders, 44-10, running in 9 tries in the process. In Speedway, the Bellevue Aces have been forced into one change for tonight's Knockout Cup first round, first leg tie against Ipswich. That's down at Kirkman-Humes Lane. Aussie youngster Josh Gratoyanic coming in for his debut in place of the injured Steve Boxall. And finally, the former Broughton Park captain Mike Ledbetter has died after a long fight with cancer. The second row won an England cap in 1970 and made 33 appearances for Lancashire. That's it from me for now, but there'll be more sport for you in our early evening news bulletin from 5 o'clock.
Mike Radley, thank you very much. You're watching the Lunchtime News. Coming up, find out how one volunteer is helping preserve strawberry fields forever.
Well, I'm here at Strawberry Fields Gates, and I've volunteered for the job to paint the gates. It's for the tourists as well as myself, because over the last few years I have seen it deteriorate.
Welcome back to Channel M's Lunchtime News. We're here every day between 12 and 1 with all Greater Manchester's headlines, and you can always check out our reports online at channelm.co.uk. On there right now, the mother of a Wigan murder victim pleads with the parole board not to release her daughter's killer, and the hero sergeant from Fallowfield who rugby tackled a suicide bomber but told his friends, "Don't tell my mum." That's all at channelm.co.uk. A reminder of our top story this lunchtime. A territorial army soldier from Bolton who's serving in Afghanistan is being described as the luckiest man in the British Army today after a Taliban bullet missed his head by millimetres.
This helmet belongs to soldier Leon Wilson. A bullet went in here and came out here. At the time, Leon was wearing the helmet. No wonder fellow squaddies reckon he is the luckiest man in the army.
I opened my eyes and looked to my left at Private Withers and said, "Have I just been shot?" In which he sort of swore a lot and said, "Yeah, you have." Medic turned a bit grey and I shouted to Corporal to say that I've just been shot in the head.
The miracle escape happened earlier this month in the Helmand province of Afghanistan, when Dad of 3, Private Leon Wilson, was locked in a gun battle with the Taliban.
I was shot from my left-hand side, where the round went in there. It travelled round the front of my helmet and came out there.
The impact of the bullet knocked him flat on his back, and he was helped away from the rooftop machine gun point by amazed medics.
And then my sergeant major and my boss got me down off the roof, told me I couldn't do anything else with my helmet, sat me down.
But within an hour, the 32-year-old private had found another helmet and went back into battle.
Shut me up, but there's not much else we can do but get on with the job that we're out here to do.
Kevin Duffy for Channel M News.
And thanks to the Ministry of Defence for those pictures there. Now, it's St George's Day on Thursday, and to mark the occasion, a special parade was held through the streets of Manchester yesterday.
The parade every year gets that little bit bigger, and of course more and more people take part. And there's everything from the public services, the armed forces, the fire service, but obviously just ordinary people, some who dress up in elaborate costumes, from Henry VIII and his many wives, through to the sealed knot, who reenact, I think, the English Civil War. People who just come along themselves and their families, perhaps wear a red rose, perhaps just to enjoy themselves. And there's a bit of, and of course, the belly dancers, who I think reenact St George the Dragon and the maiden who was captured that St George released.
Well, I think it's nice. It's not only because you're English, it's just a nice day out for everyone.
Well, I think we should celebrate the good things about this country, really, and our history and all its people.
I think it's very important to celebrate the fact that it's not a negative aspect of our society. You know, England's flag and things like that have become so negatively used with certain political views that it's nice to celebrate the good things of our history and our culture.
We've always come down and supported it because of my mum, because my mum's mum did, so it's just something we do every year as a family, all of us.
Just brings people together on the streets of Manchester, doesn't it?
I like it because he killed the dragon.
Well, it looks like they had a lot of fun there. Now, more Greater Manchester news, and a governor at a school in Chorlton has been given an ASBO after assaulting 2 colleagues at Brookburn Primary, where his daughter is a pupil. Desmond Penrose, who's 43, was told he couldn't film school children eating breakfast and was banned from the premises. In the days after the incident, he assaulted 2 fellow governors after a row broke out. As well as a 3-year ASBO, a judge gave him a 3-month suspended jail sentence and 200 hours of unpaid community work, and said his behaviour was like that of a petulant schoolgirl. A 27-year-old man is in a critical condition with a bleed to his brain after a fight in Ashton-under-Lyne. Between 6 and 9 people were involved in the fight in George Street. A 25-year-old man has been arrested on suspicion of assault, and police are appealing for witnesses to come forward. Eccles may be well known for its cakes, but it's also getting a reputation for its popular farmers market. Channel M has been along to find out what lies behind its recipe for success.
Eccles is doing really well. It's quite surprising. You know, it's a nice area, you know, nice location to have the market, and the people do seem to support it, so it's very good.
I've been doing farmers markets for about 6 years now. You're bringing a product, a fresh product, and a different product straight to the customer. It's not being held in storage, it's straight off the docks. It's helping a lot of employment.
We make organic cheese. The local farm next door to me, they're milk sheep, so we make the sheep's cheese as well. Chap just up the road, he milks 2 goats, so he brings his little goat down, he got his goat's milk down in a little churn, and we make goat's cheese, and we make also buffalo cheese, which comes from North Allerton. And people bring the things along for me to make cheese with. A lady in Manchester, she wanted me to make a Marmite, so we made the Marmite with Lancashire, which is took off extremely well. From chilli, Marmite, to apricot, ginger, cranberry. We have 25 varieties with different types of things in.
We sell ostrich, veal, venison, that sort of thing. So for us, the farmers' markets are our only outlet, really.
It's nice to try different things, isn't it, that you never tried before. And when you like it, like with venison, it's very low fat. I've never tried ostrich, as soon as I found that, because I thought, well, I've got to go and give that a try. If it's no good, I don't try again.
Eccles, it's a really nice place, you know. It's the second time we've done this market, and the people are really nice and friendly, you know. They come up and ask questions and one thing and another. Yeah, it's really nice.
It's been very well received. The feedback we've had has been very positive from our tenants as well as shoppers, and hopefully we can build on that. We've got a great community spirit here in Eccles, and we've been very well supported, and we just want to continue.
And Manchester has been doing its bit to help Anglo-French relations. A choir from France has been in the city to perform alongside local singers, a visit inspired by one of the vocalists.
I was in Manchester Choir when I was a student in Manchester 2 years ago. I joined the choir, and then when I come back to France and I joined my French choir, I said to myself, why not? Why not doing this and make, a concert with 2 choirs? I really like the atmosphere of gospel choir, the people, the cross cultures, a lot of people from everywhere, and I really enjoyed it. And I wanted to share with my choir this.
We very much are gospel based,
So we sing a lot of traditional sort of gospel music, and that's sort of that rich sort of deep history of communication, where, you know, when the slaves were sort of stopped from speaking, you know, they couldn't stop them singing, and so we sing a lot of sort of original gospel music. But we also sing inspirational music as well, uplifting.
Now, it was the perfect weekend for doing a spot of DIY. Beatles fan Colin Unwin from Royton got his paintbrush out to smarten up a place in Liverpool made famous by the Fab Four.
Let me take you down, 'cause I'm going to Strawberry Field. Nothing is real.
We're in Allerton, Liverpool, and it's just round the corner from Mendips, which was John Lennon's Aunt Mimi's house, where John lived for 18 years. And these are the gates that John used to climb over, as well as coming in from the back way, because his house is just on the back there. So he used to come in through the edge of his back garden and play in these gardens. And later on, he wrote a song everybody knows about, the famous Strawberry Fields Forever, which is, some say, his best song ever. Well, I'm here at Strawberry Fields Gates, and I've volunteered for the job to paint the gates and remove some of this. Some call it graffiti, but I don't. It's people that love the Beatles and they've come from all over the world to put their name on here. But I'm not bothered in one bit if the day after somebody comes from Greece or whatever and paints the name on them. It's for the tourists as well as myself, because over the last few years I have seen it deteriorate because of lack of funds for the Salvation Army, which own the actual ground. So they was glad for me to volunteer to paint these gates, and I was glad for them to tell me that I could paint the gates. With that, I can sleep tonight.
Strawberry fields forever. Strawberry fields forever.
Well, that warm weekend weather has stayed with us this morning, but will it last? Here's Byron Evans with the forecast.
Hiya, and as you can see behind me, it's a cracking day here in the city centre, as it has been throughout the morning. Dry, bright and warm. So let's take a look at those temperatures. 18 degrees in Preston, as it is in Accrington. Moving closer into the city centre, temperatures rise to 20, 21 here in Manchester and Salford, and 21 also in the southern parts of the region, reach as low as 20. And those temperatures should remain throughout the week, dropping off ever so slightly down to 19 and 18. So make sure you pack your sunnies for the rest of the week. It's gonna be a cracker.
This is Channel M, our top stories this lunchtime. A territorial army soldier from Bolton who's serving in Afghanistan is being described as the luckiest man in the British Army today after a Taliban bullet missed his head by millimetres. The faces of two gang leaders from Manchester have been shown on posters unveiled this morning, showing how they'll look in more than 30 years' time when they're released from prison. Colin Joyce and Lee Amos were jailed earlier this month, alongside 9 other gang members. Those are today's headlines, and that was the Lunchtime News. We'll have more on those stories with Andy Crane in our early evening news from 5. Join in then if you can, but from me and the Lunchtime team, thanks for watching. Have a very good afternoon.